there's nothing weaker than a contempt man. Being a contempt man means that you have some fucked up superiority complex over women. And it's often a woman. It could be in other people as well. But in terms of a relationship, it means that the man is kind of claiming moral superiority over a woman, over his partner. And it isn't really supposed to be there. He claims it since he himself is insecure and needs to feel as the moral superiority. But actually, there shouldn't be a moral superiority, right? You can have different roles in a relationship. One partner could be, helped by different things, but no one is going to be helped by the man just claiming his moral superiority over the women. That is what makes a contempt man. And it's often that this dude makes, sarcasm, comments with sarcasm. He rolls his eyes and he calls his women different stuff and critiques her, not based on what she's actually doing wrong or something that she could be doing better, but he critiques her for her personality and for the stuff for who she is when she's really just made a small mistake. Like a contempt man could call his woman like pathetic if she forgot to do the dishes. That's a contempt man. And there's a look on their face when they're like, they feel as if they got the right to just claim moral superiority and belittle the other person. They make their women seem so small and so unimportant. And obviously what that does to someone's self-esteem, to someone's ego. So you're basically stealing from other people's ego to fucking boost your own ego. But your cock is still small as fuck. No, but I read some article by a couple called the Gottmans, and they made this article where they claimed to know that there's 4 horsemen, and it's kind of like the 4 horsemen of breakups in relationships, and that means basically the 4 biggest factors contributing to a breakup of partners. And they knew this was the case because they ran studies and stuff on relationships. They're kind of experts on that. So they said that there's 4 horsemen, there's 4 qualities, and that's criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, and contempt. So criticism, well, that's basically just criticism, right? It's critiquing your partner's ability, or even if you're just dating, you're single and mingling around, but you're finding stuff to critique on rather than seeing the good qualities. You're pointing out negative shit. Like people on dates nowadays, they'll sit there and like interview each other rather than just connect. They interview each other, like on first dates. They're really just interviewing each other. Like, do you want to have kids? How many kids? When? And where do you want to live? And do you have this job? Do you have this income? Like, and they're looking out for things they can critique, and they might not do it loud. Like, whoa, that wasn't really what I was expecting, but that's what they're thinking inside of their head, right? That's the fucked up dating world we see nowadays on fucking with these dating apps, right? And also in relationships, which is why we see so much divorce and relationship dissatisfaction and women fucking starting to hate men. The whole Me Too thing, that goes deeper than that, but sure. And then men responding with like, we don't need women, but men do need women a lot. Men actually need women more in some way that women need men, because men need that emotional support. They need the space to be able to vent out their feelings, to be able to tell what they're thinking about and to be able to get some help with that. And they're searching for that, obviously, through love, through connection, because they want to do that with someone they're connected to, not just their bro, right? But it's not gonna work if you're a contempt man. That's the weakest form. And that's all often, or what the Gottman said, is the quality of someone that makes is the most predictable basically for breakup, for having disaster have form in the relationship. If there's contempt in the relationship by either partner, this can like you're all gonna break up, right? After criticism, they talked about defensiveness. So that's basically defending yourself and being on high heels, kind of, always needing to defend your when you did do something wrong with no, I didn't mean to, or just making up excuses and always feeling like you have to defend yourself. So you can't take on responsibility. If you can't take on responsibility, that's obviously gonna end really badly in a relationship. And there's also stonewalling, which is basically you can't emotionally be there for someone else. You're really like cold and distant with your emotions. So you can't actually support someone. You can't hear them out when they're trying to connect with you, they've had a bad day, but you're over here, you're like, I know I gotta work, I gotta work. Like that doesn't work as well. But fucking content, man. If you're a content man, that's the worst of them all. And I realized this myself, not just from reading the articles and seeing some stats on a paper, but actually going through some shit with my girlfriend where I, as a man, as the guy, actually started to treating her like a contempt man would. And I've never been a contempt dude. I've never been someone to claim moral superiority, to belittle other people, say I'm the greatest, I'm better, you're nothing, you're pathetic. I've never had that mindset. I've never been a bully. But it came to around maybe about 8 months into the relationship or something with my girlfriend, and I I worked a lot. I worked long days, and I really didn't really have my life together. Really, I had ambitions like with YouTube, with business stuff, with my training and stuff, and I just graduated from high school. This was summer of last year. And during that time, she was staying over at my place, and I really just couldn't treat her like a good boyfriend would, because I would always find stuff to critique or like to to kind of bring home feelings that I got from work and stuff, and let those out on her. And it wasn't just critiquing the stuff she did, it was this content bullshit of actually going into her personality, going into like, why are you like this? Which wasn't really necessary because she wasn't even doing something that would make reasonably make me question her personality or her character or who she is. She was the same loving girl, right? And I just had some emotional kind of built up problems from that I hadn't actually expressed, that I really just transformed into some kind of contempt for her because she was the person that I was in contact with. I wasn't really speaking to someone else like other than my family. But when it was time to actually be there for her, after work and stuff, but I really wasn't like happy with my life or happy with the way things were going, and I like that work and stuff because it was a long commute and stuff. Well, I let that out on her, right? So that's dumping shit on to another person. And it made me more and more content as time went on because I couldn't resolve it in myself. So it made me more and more content. And that hurt her a lot. And she didn't, because, she didn't bring that up to me right away that, whoa, what you're doing right now in this kind of season of your life is you're actually not treating me like you used to. You're treating me in this, way. And you know, you have a lot of sarcasm against me and stuff. She couldn't bring that up because she was really afraid, right? That I would then rage onto her and like fucking crash out, right? Like some idiot. And I don't blame her for that. But then eventually she just kind of did, and kind of like broke down in some tears in my room, right? And I had to actually fucking do a mental 180 and realize that, whoa, I'm actually taking things too far, and I've really just not hit the brake and stopped and thought of like, okay, now I'm feeling a little bit better because I'm not working this job or something, but I gotta check on her maybe because I've not even been the best boyfriend I could have been. And that's my responsibility. So if I don't claim that responsibility in my relationship, well, obviously it's my fault if it ends. And it didn't end because I'm not a contempt guy. I could actually prove that I'm not this kind of ugly person, and I could better myself and make it up to her and stuff like that. So now we're still together, and there's no problems because I've learned that being the contempt man is the weakest form of me and any man, and I'm never gonna be the weak, you know, ugly guy anymore. Why would I do that to myself? Because you're really doing it to yourself, bro. If you're a contempt man out there, right? You're really doing it to yourself. Like the contempt man is basically like a man child. You'd think, no, he's the king, he's the boss, he's the big bro, right? Because he's claiming the superiority. He's making himself, you know, the man who his women or the girl he's dating, that maybe multiple girls he is dating, are gonna come to him, they're gonna do everything for him, and he's just gonna belittle them, not care about them, just do whatever he wants. But he's actually just a child doing that. Like if you ask a child that's contempt, a young boy, contempt young boy, that will be what he would suggest. That yeah, I'm the biggest boy, I'm the boss, you know, girls gonna come to me and shit like that, like some dumbass 13-year-old. But contempt men that are 18 years old, older, like 20, in the 20s, 30s, they're like still in that young boy mentality. They haven't grown up to be a man. Like they don't have manners. I promise you, a contempt man wouldn't be able to handshake me properly. He wouldn't be able to get a girl's father's approval. He wouldn't be able to go into a restaurant and order for her and be a fucking masculine, confident man because he's deeply down, really fucking insecure in himself. And man child are just sorry. And it's, you know, it's sorry for these women that have to date guys, or at least go on dates with guys that are contempt man childs, that like thinks that, well, you're gonna pay 50-50 with me because, you know, I'm actually you know, it's equal rights, whatever. Like, no, you're gonna pay because you're the dude, you're gonna pay the first date. Like, that's common sense, right? And that's what a nice, actually caring man would do just out of generosity, not to flex, not to, you know, actually claim some superiority over that. Like, if you're paying for the date, you're not automatically the man, right? She's not supposed to bow down to you, to submit to you just because you've paid for the date. But that's what the contempt man would think. And that's what a lot of guys think. But in reality, even you giving her goddamn money shouldn't be expected to make her love you more, because it's never gonna be like that. Girls that are given money or given nice cars and stuff, they're not gonna love you more. They can divorce you any day as well. And that happens to guys a lot, to men. And it's often because maybe they're fucking contempt and ugly on the inside. So it doesn't matter what you can provide on the outside. If you're ugly on the inside, you're fucked. Alright? So it's really just about growing up and becoming the real man. Real man takes responsibility. Real man doesn't expect someone to submit to them, and they don't want, you know, a slave. They want an equal, but in a feminine form. So if you're a masculine man, you're confident in yourself, you're secure, you don't want a woman that's gonna be your slave, or that you can fucking spit on and call her shit and make her do shit. You want an equal that you can actually connect with, you can go on a journey together, you can grow together, but that's in a feminine version of that, right? so you can polarize each other, so you can actually love, so you can make some goddamn love, right? That's actually good. That's the best thing. That's the almost one of the best things in life, right? When you actually have true love to a woman and you don't see her as the object, you don't see her as your reward, you don't see her as your slave. It's just a woman that you're connected with because you've connected in a real way. You're a man, you're not a man child, you're not a boy, and she's a woman. And you've chosen each other. If you want to get to that, well, the antidote to turn around contempt, if you've ever had contempt, maybe, and if you're not even if you've had it or if you've been a contempt dude or if you are a contempt dude, but if you just want to avoid going into that hole, because as a man, as you heard from me, it's not, impossible to start doing things that turns on this contempt version of you. It isn't impossible. When life hits you in certain ways that you're not prepared for, you might start accumulating those qualities without even noticing it. But the antidote to all contempt, whoever you are, is praise. And there's a book called The Way of the Superior Man by David Data, and it's a chapter in there that says praise her. And in this chapter, he basically talks about that you gotta praise a woman, not expecting anything back, just praising her. And I believe that's the kind of antidote, that's the way to reverse a contempt and to make love, right? And praise her, the chapter, has a kind of prelude that goes like this. I'm gonna read that, it's really short. The masculine grows by challenge, but feminine grows by praise. A man must be unabashed and expressed in his appreciation for his women. Praise her freely. That's what he thinks, and I think that's a really good idea. And I've been doing that a lot with my girlfriend ever since that event, right? And I've actually also been having a gratitude journal, which is a really good idea, for maybe a year now soon. And I've just been writing down 3 to 5 things that I'm grateful for every morning in a journal. It takes like 5 minutes. And often I mention my girlfriend there, and I mention why. I mention like I'm really grateful for her because she brought me this present for our date or something. Or I'm really grateful for her because she complimented me on something, on my looks or something. Like small stuff. It isn't just rewards or materialistic bullshit. It's just stuff that you can be grateful for. Show appreciation for that, actually. And I've also multiple times sent her text messages, even before she was awake, telling her how much I love her or telling her something that's been on my mind about her that I can be grateful for, and sending that to her. That's a form of gratitude, showing gratitude. Start your gratitude journal. Just get a journal, like a piece of like a small one like this or a big one, and just write down 3 to 5 things every day that you're grateful for. It can be family, it can be a stranger you met. I met a stranger, I think yesterday, on my walk that it wasn't a complete stranger because it was an older man from the gym I used to go to, and he saw me and he recognized me and he started asking me like, how's life, and is everybody doing good, and how are your plans for the future and stuff, and really in a caring way. And I got to just talk to him, be really complimented on stuff like my plans and stuff, and leave that conversation feeling very wholesome and very grateful for that man. So I wrote that down in my gratitude journal today. Things like that will rot out, like things like that will take away any contempt that you might develop and switch that out for love. And it might sound cliche and like love, 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 just spread love and be love, but love is what will give you that good karma at the end of the day, right? If you show gratitude without expecting anything back, well, you're gonna get things back, right? That's a big part of romantic attractiveness. And if you develop this, you can become multidimensionally attractive. That's what this channel is about. Anyway, you can talk to me for free. It's do a Q&A with me, like a 30-minute video call with me, just where you can ask me questions for free, totally. No upselling, no sales, nothing like that. And that's the top link in the description. Click that and book a free call. Also, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in another one. Goodbye.